53% of public school kids in this country fail the minimum competency tests for math, to pick just one subject. In some subgroups, that failure rate was as high as 95 to 96% of the students. As a country, our children are pretty math stupid. And nearly all the jobs in high demand now require way more math than the minimum competency. One fairly large school district reported in 2022 that in grades 3 through 8, 88% of their students were not math proficient. 65% of fourth graders are not competent readers. 2/3 of our fourth graders can't read. And the numbers get worse through high school, not better. In science, 64% of American fourth graders are not proficient in science, while 78% of high school seniors are not. The numbers get worse. 59% of high school seniors didn't even meet a basic level of performance in science, which pretty much closes them off from any possibility of getting any of the jobs that are presently most in demand. Let's keep going. 87% of eighth graders fail to meet proficiency standards for U.S. history, which means that they didn't understand not just detailed dates and names. No, it means they couldn't even explain or understand the major themes, periods of time, events, people, and ideas that were turning points in the country's history. And about 80% of students fail the proficiency level in civics. Geography, another one. 50% of 18 to 24-year-old people could not identify the state of New York on an unlabeled map of the United States. Way more than half our children appear to be just plummeting headlong off the cliff toward a lifetime of unemployment, or certainly underemployment, with jobs where they struggle to meet their basic physical needs. Why? Oh, we love to blame. Love it. One, we say it's the schools. Well, there's no real proof of that, except that lately more and more time has been devoted to teaching other than these subjects: gender orientation, diversity, equity, inclusion. Two, it's the teachers, we say. No study can place a finger firmly on that group, although we don't hesitate to point our fingers. And three, it's COVID. Even though there was certainly a dip in performance after prolonged periods of closed classrooms, the scores have been declining steadily for the past 20 years, not just during and after COVID. The one place we never, ever look is called the third rail of social commentary: parenting. For those who don't live near a subway system, some trains, typically those used in public transit, are powered by high voltage electricity that runs through a third rail placed between the two rails that the train wheels run on. If you touch the third rail, you die. Social Security is referred to as a third rail issue in politics. If a politician messes with it, they die. And parenting is a metaphorical third rail because anybody who dares to comment on it, like I'm doing now, is beheaded by parents who are offended. Apparently, I live on the third rail, and apparently I don't mind. Test scores for American children have been declining for the past 20 years, especially in the last dozen or so. So, is there a correlation between the period of those declining scores and anything else that's been happening in the world? Yeah, it turns out that there is. Briefly, 1969, the internet is invented as a research project. 1971, the first email message, closely followed by the first cell phone, the first commercial video games. 1983, the first commercially available cell phone, which was an enormous brick of a thing. 1988, the first Samsung hand-sized phone. 92 was the first text. The web was established the next year. Then the first smartphone, the first keyboard phone in 96. The first commercially widespread video game on a phone, 97, that recently. The first phone to browse the internet in 99. First phone with a camera the same year. The first social media platform, 2003. Facebook, 2004. The iPhone, 2007. 4G technology, 2009. Facebook comes public. Video games are growing exponentially. And in 2012, Facebook went public with a declared intention of rewiring how we spread and consume information. That's what was stated. So in the last just 20 years or so, especially the last 13, Screens have become exponentially more available and better designed to keep the user riveted to the screen forever. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, reports the average daily hours on a screen by kids who are young, 8 to 10, all the way up to 18 years old, is about 8 years. Excuse me, 8 hours a day, not 8 years. On their phones, pads, laptops, and they're in school for 8 hours at least, including travel, much more if they play a sport, which is common. The American Pediatric Association states that kids of those ages should be sleeping 8 to 11 hours a day. We'll call it 9.5. Add up just the hours for school, screens, and sleep, and the total is 25.5 hours a day, with no time for reading, homework, eating, or family teaching and other activities. You can't flex math. So the kids are not sleeping or studying or both. They arrive at school sleep deprived in a screen coma or screen withdrawal and unprepared for their classes. Is there any wonder that their learning is impaired, which is reflected by their poor test scores? No, there's no wonder. And who governs the time a child goes to bed? More than 50% of them with a phone touching their body as they sleep. Does the school determine that time they go to bed? The teachers? No. Who follows up on homework and gets them the help that they need? School? Teachers? No again. Who governs how much screen time they get? Not the school or teachers. Surprise, our children's learning is decreasing because of us, the parents. I've spoken to thousands of parents over the last 30 years, and I've learned with absolute certainty that what parents want most, I've learned what they want most as they interact with their children. Want to guess what that is? Do they want their children to learn to be responsible most? No. For their children to be loving toward each other? No. For their children to prepare for a lifetime of rich and loving relationships? No. Of course, parents will say that those are their goals, but the reality is that parents want this from their children. They want no disapproval. Number one, nothing stabs a parent more than the look of disapproval they get from when a kid glares or argues or demonstrates defiance when a parent requires a child to be responsible or to stop using their phone or to stop fighting with a sibling. What do they want second? Approval. Parents light up when a child is grateful for a gift like phone time, or the child expresses delight in a new toy or a great vacation. Parents need approval, and they use their kids to get it. Giving children screen time is one way to get that approval. And the last thing they want, peace and quiet, in great part so that the parents can spend time on their own screens. Parents are terrified of taking screen time from their kids. But until they do, children will learn less, with lifelong and disabling consequences. As usual, the problems we face are all about the parents, not school or teachers. Learn how we can love and teach our children at realloveparents.com.